Welcome to the virtual launch of Thrive, breaking free from survival mode in education. I'm Dr. Jocelyn McDonald, but you can call me Dr. Mac. I am the Chief Visionary Officer with Mac Media and Publishing, and I am super excited to celebrate the launch of Thrive. Today, we have an impeccable group of educators who have poured their heart and spirits. And as an educator myself, I am super excited to share and hopefully make an impact with so many of you who are tuning in and watching us. A little bit about us, Mac Media, we look to publish stories that make an impact. And with my background in education, making a positive impact is something that's very important to us, and to serve those messages and to create and make purposeful change in the education space, in our society, in our communities. And so I'm super excited to have Thrive as one of our publications that is coming out to you today. We are super excited about having you here joining us. And so if you are online with us today, just share, where are you located? We want to see in the comments that's coming through. I already see some comments coming in. And so I'm just super excited about all the different things we have here. So I'm just going to put the comments on stage. Where are you coming from? We're super excited. We have someone saying congratulations to the authors. They're excited as well. So thank you all for tuning in. We see all the notes coming in. So thank you guys. We are live. And the authors are live here with you too. Oh, I see Atlanta, Georgia in the house. Tampa, Florida is in the house. All right. We see you coming in. Lafayette, Louisiana. Welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you guys on. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Boston's in the house for sure. Love it. I love it. Oh, checking in from Spain. We have someone from Spain, guys. That is amazing. We're super excited to have you in. We are international in this group, and you guys are coming. All right, Dallas, Texas. Texas in the house. I'm in Houston, Texas, so I love it. Nashville. We have Grayson. And we have another congratulations, another Crestview, Florida, Denver, Colorado. We are all over. Thank you guys so much. Is it Suitland, Maryland, Birmingham, Alabama, Chesterfield, Virginia, another Tampa coming in. So thank you guys. Another representing Atlanta. We love this. DC, Chi-Town's in the house. All right. Phoenix, Arizona. They're coming in support Dr. Iman. All right. We love it. We love it. The Bay Area is here. Chicago again. Oh, I love it. Yes, Black Excellence. We love that too. Such a beautiful space to be in with so many amazing people. So thank you all for joining us on your Saturday. We know that you could have been anywhere else, but you're joining us today here. And so I just want to take a moment just to share up Troy, Alabama. I see you. I just want to take a moment to really just thank you all for tuning in with us. We're going to bring in someone who's special, the visionary behind this project, the one that brought us all together, that had the vision to thrive. And she has been in education for over 30 years. She's a mother. She's a friend. She is the president of Black Women Education Leaders. She is the founder of Thrive Consulting. And so we want to welcome her on to the live today. So welcome, Trelane Clark. We are super excited to have you here. This is just a special moment today. And, we are so elated, but we definitely want to hear from you. You are the vision behind the work. You are the reason why we have all gathered to really pour into others, those of you who are educators on here. And we just want to hear from you. Set that vision for us for Thrive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mac. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for supporting the authors, these educators who have made the decision to share themselves, to share their story with you. Thrive, breaking free from survival mode in education. This is incredibly meaningful to me. You might hear that my voice is a little shaky because this is a long time coming. This was a dream that I had and have had for quite some time. Really rooted in a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. And if you can see my background, you can see that there is a photo of her in the background, and that was not actually planned. Some of the best things happen when they are not necessarily planned. But she said, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. And that quote has guided so much of how I have tried to live over the last few years after I read that quote. And I needed to figure out what it meant to thrive, not just in my own personal life, but in the work, my life's work of being an educator. So I couldn't shake this thing about thriving. So this is where it went. And I just strongly believe that educators deserve more than just to survive. They deserve to thrive. And the reason for that is because thriving is our birthright. Thriving is our birthright. I've spent nearly 3 decades in education, and over those years, I've seen the beauty and the purpose and the joy and the possibility in this work. And I've also seen and experienced the exhaustion, the burnout, the pressure, the constant giving, and the way the survival mode just can sometimes become normalized and we don't even question it. We just think that it's supposed to be that way. But survival was never meant to be the goal. Thrive was born from this desire to create a space that educators and leaders can tell the truth about this work, but also name what is possible on the other side of survival. And this anthology, this anthology brings together 17 authors, 17 educators, 17 authors with their own stories and experiences, perspectives, and wisdom. And they are leaders, they are consultants, mentors, advocates, and change makers. And they've lived the realities of education, and they have chosen to reflect and grow and heal and help others lead and heal to move toward thriving. I'm also incredibly grateful to Principal Baruti Kafele. Principal Kafele is an internationally recognized Principal Kafele, thank you so very much. I have been following Principal Kafele's work for many, many years and have considered him a mentor of mine even before I met him. And when I met him, it was just solidified. He is incredibly personable, and the fact that he answered the call to me to write the foreword for this is incredibly meaningful. So once again, Principal Kafele, thank you so very much. The Thrive framework is organized around 5 tenets: teach with heart, model resilience, lead with integrity, value relationships, and ensure equity. Each section of this book invites us to think about what it means to move from surviving to thriving, not just in theory, but in real life, in real schools, in real leadership, in real moments when educators are trying to hold on to that purpose without losing themselves. So tonight, you will hear from 16 of these authors across these 5 sections, and you'll hear their stories of heart, resilience, and courage, the relationships that they built, their goals toward equity, and real transformation. So, my hope is that you will listen and you'll hear that this is more than just a book launch, but this is actually an invitation. This is an invitation to you to reflect, to reclaim, an invitation to believe that thriving is still possible. So, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for celebrating with us. And thank you for believing with us that educators deserve more than survival. They deserve to thrive because thriving is our birthright.
Oh, absolutely. What a wonderful way to get us started. I'm super excited about that. It's been such a pleasure to work on this journey with you. And I can't wait to hear from our amazing contributing authors who we're about to bring on next. And so, if you want to just go ahead and set the stage with our first group, we can get started with our first section, which is teaching with heart.
Yes. Well, I would love to welcome Dr. Deshawn C. Washington, Dr. Jason Joyce, Marva Tutt, and Samuel Yamiche. I hope I said
Yes,
that correctly. Um, we're going to tell you a little bit about each of these educators and then get into having some conversations.
absolutely. So we'll start with Dr. Jason Joyce. She is an educator, a thought leader, and a consultant with over a decade of experience supporting K 12 schools in elevating educator capacity and well being. She is a New York native raised by her Caribbean parents. She partners with districts to align instructional systems with the heart of teaching.
Wonderful. And we're going to move next to Dr. Marva Tutt, who is the founder of Learning Futures Collective Incorporated. And she is an educator, author, and human resources leader, specializing in teacher voice and equity centered professional sustainability. She serves as recruitment and retention coordinator for the Richmond County School System and is the founder of Learning Futures Collective Incorporated.
Yes. And so we also have Dr. Deshawn C. Washington. Dr. Deshawn is the 2024 Massachusetts Teacher of the Year, an educator, speaker, and founder of Cultivating Changemakers. He holds a doctorate in K 12 educational leadership and policy from Vanderbilt University. And through his crazy framework, he empowers educators to move from survival to thriving.
And last but not least, we have Samuel Nyamiche. Samuel is a lecturer, researcher, and educator in human physiology and biological sciences, holding an MPhil from KNUST, and he's currently pursuing his PhD in reproductive biology. He's actively involved in mentoring and community health outreach. And Samuel is in Ghana, West Africa. So, welcome, Samuel.
Yes, yes. And so, Trelane, it is amazing to have this first group. And I know we want to get to start hearing their voices and hearing from them. So kick us off and get us started. Like, what do we want to know first from our amazing educators?
Yeah, so from everyone, this question is, what does it look like in practice to teach and lead with heart, even on the hardest of days? Let's start with whoever would like to go, actually.
Yep, so this is Dr. Jason Joyce. It's a pleasure and honor to be on tonight. Honor to you, Trelane, Dr. Mack, and my fellow authors, contributing authors. So with this question, I feel like it was so loaded. But with this teaching with heart part, one of my quotes that helped to shape my teaching career for my first year is from Haim Ganat. And it says, I've come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in my classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. And so when you talk about teaching and leading with heart and the practice, it is that point of reflection, knowing that I have so much power, that my mood shapes the classroom culture environment, the feeling, the texture in the atmosphere, how my students experience me. And so with that in mind, I would say in practice, it would be a reflection, knowing that even on my hardest days, my words, my actions, my lack thereof still holds weight and impact on my students. And it's just not reflection on the day that's my hardest day, but it's how I handle those hard days that will impact my students' future days, right? And when I think of reflecting, I think of reflecting on purpose. Why am I there in the first place? And so just to complete and wrap a pretty little bow on that, I would say in practice, it's being not only a reflective teacher, but a reflective person, someone who is self-knowing and self-aware to understand that is in what I say and what I do, or what I don't say and what I don't do, really leaves a lasting impact for generations to come, not in that moment. So in practice, it is an educator who has vision to see beyond the now, because we understand the weight that our words and our actions hold on the lives of our students, even on our hardest days.
If I could just jump right in, thank you, Dr. Choice, for your words. And it's so much of an honor to be with so many fabulous edu authors and people here in the audience today to celebrate the Thrive, our book release. When I think about this question, about this idea of putting into practice teaching or leading with heart, I think of the joy factor. I'm an elementary school teacher by heart. And so I taught third, fourth grade for many years. And I'm just as much of a learner as the kids that are in the room. I get the opportunity to learn the 25 kids that's in my space every day and see and navigate with them the journey of their own academic learning, their journey of their own life. And as a model of those hard days, I learned how to be first a listener and then pay close attention to the needs of every child in that room, whether it's academically with reading or math, or whether it's something more life oriented with navigating the challenges of handling a conflict. It's my responsibility to model and to teach and to put into practice the skills by demonstrating those things on my own. And so the joy aspect can never be taken away in the classroom. If joy is something that lives within the heart, there's nothing that can take joy away from us. And the deepening of that joy rests within that space and it spreads to those kids to operate in joy, even in the hardest of days, to still engage in that deep learning. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tut, and it is definitely a pleasure and a great opportunity to be involved in this project. And so, when I think about teaching through the heart, through the lens of the heart, I think about one child, one system. And so many times in school systems, mentoring programs, anything that we work through with children, we work in silos and we don't think about the whole child. And I know that term has been overrepresented in the last few years, but you think about one child, one system. So I think about a student I had my first year teaching. She came in and she was talkative, got in trouble for disruption, always being disruptive, all this kind of stuff. And they wanted to just automatically take her down that special education track. But we didn't look at that gifted aspect of her. And so it's like, we need to look at this child from the whole lens. Why is she talking so much? What is going on in her life that may have her acting out in class? Are we challenging her? Are we teaching her what she needs to know? And you think about that pipeline until high school graduation. The child we took in kindergarten and said she was a behavior problem may actually be your next valedictorian.
Samuel, you're up next.
Samuel may be having some technical difficulties coming on, but I just want to just say you guys have shared so many amazing nuggets just in that sense. And those of you who are watching, whether you are an educator or not, I'm sure that something that they've already shared can really pour into you, into the work that we do in education. And so I'm going to go ahead and move on to Dr. Joyce. Dr. Joyce, your chapter is about the orange pen. And that orange pen becomes a symbol in your chapter. What did it come to represent for you, and what does it represent for educators you coach today?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Oh, the orange pen. Okay. It was in my classroom when I was teaching eighth grade, middle school and high school, former middle school and high school English teacher. It was a literal orange pen in my classroom. But for me in that chapter, the proverbial orange pen represented a crossroad. It was a moment in time where a decision had to be made. It was a confrontation with the student about this literal orange pen. But the pen symbolizes a need for control or a relinquishing of control. So I'll say control at the core, and we have a decision to make. But at that moment, I decided to hold on to the sense of control. And when you feel like you're in control, that's when you're actually out of control. And so the orange pen taught me, and I'm grateful it happened in my fourth year and not later, because I had to shift from compliance driven. The pressure and the stress of crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's. My classroom was located right in front of the main office. We were a comprehensive status school all of my teaching career. So, I mean, on the surface, there were so many things that I had to keep buttoned up. But on the backside, what I was walking into my classroom with was rejection, shame, embarrassment of taking the teacher exam more than 4 times and not being able to pass it. So that pen was a sense of trying to maintain control over something that I could. And that was my classroom rules and rituals. I couldn't control the state coming in, couldn't control how my students learned, could not control the classroom or the students that I got. So this pen, I mean, blue or black, that was the thing I could control. But I was so out of control. And so in that moment, I was forced to reflect on this idea of, but how tight am I going to hold on to control? Because am I building bridges of community and belonging and love and sensitivity? Or am I building barriers of compliance and transactional relationships? And so what I help the educators that I coach today is, it may be a pen. It may be uniform. It could be your homework rules, whatever that thing that you're trying to hold on to. Think of it in the grand scheme of thing. Is this thing that you're trying to keep control with and for building more barriers in the way of relationship, a community that's thriving, and even you as an educator thriving? Or is it building bridges of belonging, relationship, empathy, keeping our students' humanity and dignity intact? And so educators who are on the line listening, for me, it was that orange pen literally in my classroom that I had to face the fact that I was trying to hold on to this thing that I actually did not have, and that was control. And so when we put ego, self, out of the way, and we honor above self, others above self, then you'll see that beautiful shift in your classroom. And then the orange pen will seem so small compared to the big joys of the love and the community and the thriving. And I'm grateful I was able to restore that relationship. But that orange pen got in my way that day. And I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to restore that relationship.
I can't wait until everybody reads your chapter. I'm telling you. I mean, I had a similar moment to yours that I could reflect on when I was reading your chapter. So I appreciate that your chapter reminds us that what might look like compliance on the surface can actually become an invitation to rethink what we are and what we value, and sustainable success and what that should look like.
And whether you're an educator 2 weeks in, 4 years in, 17, 20, as long as you're in the classroom, you will have a moment with an orange pen, proverbial pen. And so be ready for it. And just remain to be reflective so that transformation can happen from a moment and doesn't have to remain control. Yeah.
I love that. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Tutt. So your chapter challenges educators to ask, whose race do they think they're really running? How did you come to recognize that you were racing against the wrong measure of success?
So my sister was talking to me. I moved up the career ladder very quickly and just kind of ran out of things to do. And so you get bored in that time. So you're always hustling for the next thing, always looking for the next best thing, looking for the next check, looking for the next title, looking for the next program to be involved in. And so one day my sister asked me, who are you in a race with? Who are you? She said, don't you get in another leadership program, any of that, for at least a year, because you are just running yourself crazy. And I had to sit back and think about, I was fighting so many different things. My father had passed away and I was living far away from home for the first time in my life. So I was dealing with some grief. I was working at a couple of jobs that I didn't quite enjoy because I was not allowed, in my opinion, to have my authentic voice. I believe I'm a visionary leader, but sometimes people will try to halt your vision. And so I was in a place where I was just unhappy. And so I had a lot of material things I had a lot of things on my resume. I had a lot of things that really looked good on paper, but on the inside, I was dying. And so I finally had to realize, hey, what is going to actually make you happy? What is going to make you be fulfilled? And it's not all these things right here. And it's like you're trying to overcompensate for things you didn't do in high school, things you didn't do in college. You can't get those things back. And those people probably didn't even know that you were trying to overcompensate for them. And so I had to be true to my authentic self and what it really means to lead and hear my own voice.
Thank you. Thank you. That reflection, it helps us to just kind of pause and ask that question, whether if we're running a race, why? Where are we going? And if we are, then is it aligned with who we are and what we value? So I really, really, really appreciate for your chapter, and really does a nice job of taking all the tenets of Thrive and bringing it into this conversation. Dr. Mack?
All right, yes. Next, we have Dr. Deshaun Washington, who talks about his crazy framework, which helps educators move from surviving to thriving. And so, Dr. Washington, can you just share with us what was the moment that made you realize survival mode had become normalized in your own classroom?
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Mack, for the question. Very early in my teaching experience, my first year as a teacher in Boston, I was very ineffective as a teacher. I didn't have the classroom structures down. I didn't really have the relationships with students the way that I needed to build trust and to build long lasting joy of learning. And so very early, I seen disorganized chaos in the classroom. And it became to a place where that chaos became normalized. And then it came to a place where that chaotic situation became my everyday, if you will. And I began to normalize this idea of surviving, just going to work every day to manage whatever I can manage, teach whatever I could teach, and get out of there as quickly as possible. And thanks to many great teachers and great administrators, Black men in particular, Black male leaders who were in my school building, they helped me to improve on my teaching, on my relationship building, on my structures, on the way that I activated voices and things of that sort. And it really was this idea, this crazy framework of all the craziness that I was living in survival mode every day, and realizing that being in survival mode was really compromising my longevity, my health, and my well-being as an educator, and how through the lessons I was taught by veterans and great educators that I still see today and their excellence helped me to recognize that, oh, I can also be somewhat good of an educator as well. And I need to develop these skills in order for me to get there. And they helped me to do that. And it led to now being able to spread that same gift to many early career educators and teachers and veterans and seasoned professionals all around the country. And if it wasn't for those lessons, crazy doesn't get developed, and thrive doesn't become part of my stamp of life. And so I'm very grateful for the experience that I had. And it's now a teachable moment for many new and seasoned educators of how to build the structure in the space necessary to thrive and to break free from just surviving every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for that. And your chapter is going to give folks some tools, which is so helpful. A lot of times we hear and we read things about, what you should do. And yes, this is an issue. This is a concern. But then the next question is, well, how? How do I do it? And your chapter gives some very, very practical advice. So I appreciate that. All right. We're going to move to Samuel. So glad to see your face. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much. I'm also
your
glad to be here.
chapter, wonderful. In your chapter, you wrote about teaching as more than just delivering content and information. So, what shift in you simply turned you to simply knowing that to excuse me, turn there? Okay. What what shifted in you to go from just teaching information to truly shaping lives?
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you all for having me. So, with respect to my teaching journey, I realized that yes, my field is biology or human physiology, and that is a little bit biased in the sense that you become educated in biology or human physiology. But this life requires a lot from you, which goes beyond the classroom. That is the moment that caused the shift in me that no, there are certain things such as time management, emotional intelligence, and all the other things that are needed in life. But unfortunately, you might not be taught in the classroom. So having coming to that understanding, I realized that no, I can't just teach the biology and leave the classroom, but instead I have to find ways and means to be able to equip my students, chipping in some advices, chipping in some guidance or counseling or mentoring in a way so that at the end of the day, my students will not just be academically excellent, but instead they will also be prepared for the world that lies ahead of them. Thank you.
Thank you. That is it seems so basic, but it's so important for us to remember that as educators and to know that our presence and our influence it makes a difference and that we are shaping lives in the work that we do. So very excited for your chapter. Thank you so much, Samuel.
Thank you too.
Dr. Mack?
Yeah, what a way to get started, everyone. Teaching with heart is where it all begins. But the heart alone is not enough to carry you all the way through the hardest seasons in education. And so you all have to build the muscle to keep standing. And so we're now going to move on to our next section on section 2 on modeling resilience. And so let's bring up our modeling resilience authors up here. Glad to have you all. Welcome, welcome. So, Shalane, do you want to kind of share with us more about modeling resilience? Introduce our authors in.
So, modeling resilience. Educators are naturally resilient. We bounce back. Things are going to happen. Um, just guaranteed, right? How we handle that is what makes all the difference in the world because our students are looking at us to determine how they are going to handle when something goes wrong, when something is a struggle for them, when something is difficult. And so it's so important for us to not only know exactly what resilience is, to have experienced it ourselves, to be able to speak to it with our students so that they understand that this is a part of who they are. This is a part of the learning process. And so our authors today have all shared some incredible stories about their own experiences with resilience in and outside of the classroom.
All right. Well, we can get started with introducing them and get started from hearing from them as well. And so I'll get started with introducing Dr. Iman Ellis Bowen. She is a systems strategist and educational leader with over 26 years of experience in redefining educational systems to uplift the historical marginalized. She holds a doctor of education from the University of St. Francis, where she now serves as a trusteeship chair. And so please welcome Dr. Iman to the stage.
And we also have Dr. Elizabeth Brown Davis. Dr. Elizabeth Brown Davis is an educator, literacy specialist, and a teacher mentor with over 30 years of experience across New York, Florida, and Texas. She is a national board certified teacher. Her doctoral research focused on teacher well being as a critical component of student success. Welcome, Dr. Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Yes, and we also have Dr. Dolores Comey Zenon. She is a national board certified teacher with over 30 years of education experience and the former president of ASCD. She founded the Wise Owl Scholar Academy and believes that every child, every zip code, no matter their circumstances. And so we would like to welcome Dr. Dolores.
Awesome. And we would last but not least like to welcome Miss Nicole Golden. Nicole Golden is an educator, a speaker, and the 2021 NABC Teacher of the Year. Through her golden philosophy, she empowers educators to choose purpose over survival.
All right. Welcome, welcome. Oh,
All
yes.
right.
It's, there's
You can,
Dr. Dolores. Oh, we had her back. There she is.
okay.
All right, she's back there. Welcome back, Dr. Dolores. Yeah, so we're excited to hear from you all. I'm gonna let Trelane kick us off, and just you guys being able to share with us. We've already been poured into. I know you're about to pour more into us, so I'm super excited to hear from you.
All right. So resilience is often confused with endurance. So, what's one way that you've learned to model true resilience instead of just pushing through? We'll start with Dr. Iman.
How did I know you were going to start with me, Trelane? So first and foremost, it is an honor and a privilege to share this stage with the 17 absolutely amazing contributing authors. And thank you, Trelane, not only for the opportunity, but for also being a star in my constellation. So when I think of resilience, there is a distinct distinction between resilience and endurance. And there is a quote that I mentioned in my chapter that says that to do the work that your soul must have. And in order to do the work that your soul must have, your soul must be connected to your body. So that means that you must rest. That means that you must dream. And that must mean that you set time so that you have the vision to not only continue to keep moving forward, but to also to thrive. And so that means that we have to put that cape aside, my women. For my men, that does not mean that we will sleep when we dead, because when we dead, we ain't gonna need to sleep. But we need to make sure that our soul is always connected and rooted to everything that we do.
I like that. I'll jump right in because I love the way Iman talked about the mind, the body, and the soul. You know that. That's dear to me. But for me, I want to say, with my experience, I believe I've cultivated the sense of resilience. In a sense of first, you have to press the pause button to just think about what the challenge is or the obstacle. And then take a moment to reflect on what happened or how did you arrive there. And finally, choose a new strategy. And if you don't have one, ask someone, go to professional development, learn something new, and ultimately apply it to move forward. So that's what I think about resilience, a sense of us adapting and growing, as opposed to just pushing through and enduring the challenges.
Well, I'll just jump right in. Um, as Dr. Iman and Dr. Brown Davis both mentioned, the mind, the body, the heart, the soul. When I think of endurance, it's just holding on without hope. You're just enduring it with no faith, with
Mhm.
pain, whatever, just dealing with it. You're tolerating it.
Mhm.
And when we think of the joy of going through life a little bit better than just sitting there, resilience gives us the hope to look at a purpose. We do this with a purpose. So as we think about our purpose driven life, and something that comes to mind we shall perish for a lack of vision is so
Mhm.
true that without the vision, we have no purpose. And you must be resilient in moving forward.
Mhm.
I'll turn it over to Dr.
Exact snaps to all of that. I think we all echo the same thing, and truly, when we even think about that resilience piece, right? We all mentioned the component of just taking that time to pause, but I also think that it's very important to know when to pause. We don't want to pause when you're already burnt out and it's too late, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of us struggle with. Because we're so used to just doing so much in so many different areas for so many stakeholders. But the true resilience component is knowing when to pause. And that's something that I'm definitely working on. I haven't mastered it yet. I'm working on it. And I'm trying to model it not only for the stakeholders, but for my child as well. When I talk about protecting my peace, establishing those healthy boundaries, we want to do that. We don't want to pour from an empty cup. So it's important for us to know when to rest, not just rest or not just pause, but when to.
Yes.
Love it, love it. So we'll move on into Dr. Iman, just jumping in with you. Now, in your chapter, Thrive Through There, so she's taking us through there in her Thrive Through There, everyone. And so in your chapter, you talk about through there, it carries so much meaning in your chapter title itself.
Mhm.
What does that phrase capture about your leadership journey that a more formal title couldn't?
Yeah. So when writing this chapter, it was important for me, not only as a leader, but also as a person to make sure that the words and the pages continued on with the individuals that we will be reading, not only the chapter, but the book, as they may endure their own trials and tribulations or in the midst of their adversities. And I wanted to make sure that they had something that they could hold on to in the event that Thrive was not sitting next to them or easily accessible. And so when writing this book, there was a really popular song, there was dances, and by happenstance, I came across this reel in which a young man asked this beautiful woman, what did she think "Take Me Through There" meant? And what she said caused me to pause and resonate on my own leadership because she said, even when the world is on fire, to survive, you just have to go through there. And it was for me something that I had to reflect upon and make sure that as I was writing this, to go beyond being formal, but to be organic and authentic in telling this story. And so I wanted to make sure that for the person who will read this, for the generations that will come across these writings 10 and 20 years later, that even when they are questioning their identity as a leader, that they are still intentional, that they are still empowering, that anyone that is exposed to this, that all you need is to have relentless faith in God and know that He is holding your hand, even when you are driving an hour and a half to 2 hours home after a commute, crying your eyes out. So the title had to not be formal, but really deeply imprint in the minds of everyone that the fires of life will only burn the impurities of your gift, that the fires will jostle you to dismantle the powers of the thoughts fueled by your insecurities, but more importantly, that they will illuminate the truth that you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. So, for everyone who is listening to this and will listen to it later and will pick up and read the chapter. As the lady stated in that reel, in order to survive, sometimes you just have to take me through there, take me through there. Because on the other side of it is refinement.
I'm oh my, there is so much that I could say, but you said it all. But I need you to repeat the statement about the fire.
Which one? The one that she said that
The one
even
that you said.
oh that that even the fire, when you're going through the fire, the fires will only burn out the impurities of your gift. They will jostle you to that they will jostle you to let go of those insecurities that come from others, and that they will illuminate the truth that you are your ancestors' wildest dreams.
That is so powerful in so many ways, man.
Mhm.
Y'all, if you're thinking about getting this book, I hope you decided that you are going to get this book. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Iman. I mean, the authenticity, the strength in what you are sharing. Resilience is not always polished. Okay, it doesn't have a bow on it all the time, right? It's really deep reflection. It's courage takes courage to be resilient. So thank you, thank you for that. Um, Dr. Elizabeth. So, your doctoral research discussed teacher well being as a component of student success. What is one system change that you would love for every school to make sure that happens?
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Trelane. I love that question because it's at the heart of my research findings. My research focused on teachers' perspective of using behavior interventions for students with ADHD. And unanimously, they stated in the conclusion was that if they're not okay and they're not up to it optimally, it's very difficult to support such students. So if I could make a system-wide change in every school, it would be to make educator wellness in every school a funded priority as opposed to an optional program as it is now. Yeah, today we know there's an increase in students showing up with high levels of stress, diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And if teachers are overwhelmed or emotionally drained, it's difficult to support such students.
Yep.
So I have a vision of three things that are needed for this wellness program. One is a designated teacher coordinator or wellness coordinator to facilitate the activities for the staff or faculty in the school, maybe yoga, breath work, mindfulness, or any evidence-based activities that lowers cortisol levels. Two, a designated room for such work to be done where educators can go and recharge, relax, reflect. And this is beyond the teacher's lounge. And finally, scheduled wellness breaks embedded in the school day. So teachers don't have to wait for lunch or after school. So I'll end with this. If we want students to thrive, we must support the educators so that they show up in their best self and they're good. Thank you.
Leaders, take note. School leaders, district leaders, school board members. Listen up, listen up. Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. And the fact that your research really was a part of lived experience, I think, is really, really key here. So appreciate that. All right, Dr. Mack.
All right, we're going to move on to Dr. Dolores. In her chapter, she talks about Faint Not, which is a chronicle of resilience. And so, Dr. Dolores, Faint Not is a phrase of perseverance. Where did that phrase come from in your life, and what does it mean to you now after 30 years in education? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I'm just gonna say I sit on that word. I sit on the Father's word. And as when you are seeking and you're hoping and you're searching, we go to the throne. And so in my times, I went straight to the word. And when I read that in Galatians, weep not, don't be weary in well doing, for you shall reap not if you faint not. I said, wow. So he's already laid the plane. Just don't give up on doing good. Don't give up. And so today, as an educator, I continue that same strive because, as I'll say, as my mother will say it, and so many people may have told you, gift preparation time, because you got to be ready for the big gift that God has for you. God doesn't say no. He just says not now. And in time, he has something better when he says not now. So you wait. Now, patience is not one of my virtues. I'll say that. But when I think about that, I think about just continuing to push on and keeping my eye on the prize, keeping that goal that he has promised it will be better. He has me for a better purpose, a purpose driven. He has me for a purpose. And just as has been said before, I am the Father's wildest dreams, his favorite child.
Thank you, Dr. Dolores. That you are. That you are. And and that just those words remind me that perseverance and resilience is not passive. It doesn't just happen to us, right? This is something that we have to actively think about and look towards in order to actually experience it. And sometimes through faith, whatever your faith is, that doesn't matter, right? It's just that you are believing that the work that you're doing really, really matters and makes a difference. So I appreciate that. All right. Miss Golden, Nicole Golden. So you live by the belief that you should live your life like it's golden, right? So what was the turning point that shifted you from survival into that very purpose-driven mindset?
First and foremost, just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't mention it earlier, but it's an honor to definitely be in this space and to be a part of the Thrive Anthology, to share this journey with so many incredible co-authors. I definitely want to give a big shout out to my family and friends who are joining us from Miami to Tampa. And I see even some of my friends from across the globe in Qatar. So thanks for joining us and cheering me on in the chat. For me, when I think about that golden shift, yes, it's a mindset, but it wasn't just a mindset. It was a faith shift, right? Not just a mindset shift, but a faith shift. Each opportunity God gave me to grow closer to him, to trust him, to realize that I didn't have to keep trying to prove him. I didn't have to keep trying to prove myself of how worthy I was, or if I was good enough, or if I had the strength. That was it. Just him inviting me to trust him so I can truly live my life like it's golden. And that brings me back to my chapter's title, The Golden Shift, Choosing Purpose Over Survival. And for years, I think similar to what we heard before from many of the other co-authors, many of us thought that survival meant we were succeeding. We showing up, leading organizations, serving our students, serving their families, earning awards, and pouring into everyone around us. But behind the scenes, we're forgetting to pour into ourselves. And that was a huge struggle for me. I was failing myself emotionally. I was exhausted emotionally. I was financially stretched, and I was literally quietly losing myself. So when you talk about that turning point, it came when I realized I couldn't keep pouring from an empty cup. It was in one of my master courses that I was taking. One of the professors kept mentioning how her son came home from, I believe it was elementary school, and he literally just gave her the business because she was pouring from an empty cup. And this is an elementary student who could understand the analogy and explain it to his mother. And for me, it hit me then, because here I am balancing the load of a single mother, taking courses, trying to pursue another degree, and then doing all those great things within the community in my classroom. So I had to give myself permission to pause. And remember, I mentioned not just pausing when you're tired and you're burnt out, but pausing at that golden moment, like at that golden time to pause, time to heal, and time to rest without guilt. One of my coaches, when I used to tell her, well, Ari and I didn't do anything. And she was like, that's good. You don't have to always be doing something, whether it's something with your family, whether it's something on your job. It's okay to rest and give yourself permission to rest, right? And that goes right along with choosing alignment over exhaustion. So when you do check my chapter out, you'll see all those good things highlighted. I kind of organize it in a golden framework, with that G representing give yourself grace, that O representing own your own boundaries, that L lean into alignment, the D disrupt survival mode, and then that E elevate without exhaustion, and N nurture sustainable impact. You want something that's gonna last beyond the moment. And that's something I'm definitely working on to model for my daughter, because at this space that she's in, the sustainable impact definitely goes a long way. So that has been my turning point. I'm still along the journey, but definitely a part of my turning point. And I just encourage readers to choose to live their life like it's golden, because that's what I'm definitely working on.
And this is a process. This isn't like, okay, we got the resilience check. This is not, okay, we did that off of our to-do list. This is constant looking at and reevaluating. Okay, this is where I am, this is what I need to do. And just appreciate your sharing those tidbits. I think, let me see.
Yeah. I just want to add on too. I like that she said that she's still working on it. And you just hit on to this, Trelane, that it's still a process. And even myself, like, we're still working on it, and it's not perfect. So for all of you who are in education, or whether you're in education or not, it doesn't really matter what space you're in. We're always working towards some greatness, but it's taking us down. And just giving yourself that permission to pause, that permission to be great, that permission not to just survive, I think is phenomenal. And I just kind of want to share some of the thoughts that some of our listeners are just kind of sharing in the chat. And so we have one that says, please don't rush that process. Mm-hmm. We have someone saying, I love it. We have someone saying that's real. We have someone sharing a moment and thanking Dr. Brown Davis for reminding us. Dr. Brown Davis, you have a audience here. Someone even said, let me see if I can find that comment. They wanted to replace, let's see, I saw a comment come in that says, let's get rid of and replace her with Dr. Brown Davis in the house.
That's what happens when you teach for so long, so many people.
That's a blessing.
I love all of you. It.
Yeah, someone else shared another moment about subbing at a school where the principal made a wellness room. We were talking about self-care earlier. So thank you all for tuning in. Keep the comments coming. We love that you are engaging in this space with us. We appreciate it. If someone says you're a living legend, Another person coming in saying educators teach so much more than just curriculum, and that I'm sure students would benefit from seeing the practice of restoring well-being. That is
Yes.
so true. So thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for just being just amazing and sharing your voice. We know resilience is not about pretending the hard days do not exist, because they indeed do, and it's about staying rooted when they come, and now and taking and that takes us to integrity, which is we're moving into our next group in section 3 about leading with integrity. And so we want to thank you all for joining us, and we're going to move to our next group. So thank you for sharing your voice. We'll see you again soon, and let's go ahead and move to our next group, Trelane.
All right. We have up Dr. Tanisha Frazier Miles, Deetra M. Watson, and Dr. Tamiko Garrett. Welcome to the stage. They are kicking us off with the section on integrity, leading with integrity. Let me tell you a little bit about these amazing women. Dr. Tamiko Dr. Tanisha Frazier Miles is an education leader with more than 20 years of experience spanning nonprofit leadership, school administration, and higher ed. As an elementary school principal, she led her school to National Blue Ribbon recognition in 2021. That's what's up. We also have Dr. Tamiko Garrett, who is an educator and advocate with more than 2 decades of experience in pre-K to 12 education and higher education. Her writing draws on both professional practice and her expertise as a parent and a nonprofit founder supporting caregivers of children with disabilities. Welcome, Dr. Tamiko. And Deetra Watson is an educational consultant, a national speaker, and a former elementary administrator with over 2 decades of experience across independent, public, and international schools. She is focused on literacy, equity, and supporting neurodiverse learners. We also have in this section Dr. Tryla Cleveland, who is absent from us today because she is celebrating her wedding. Hey. So I figured that was a good enough reason not to be on the book launch, right? But I mean, how many you got married, you launching a book? That's what's up. So let's kick it off with a question for all three of you. Quickly, integrity sometimes costs something the moment it matters most. Can you share what leading with integrity has cost you and even given you in return? We'll start off with Dr. Tanisha.
I'll gladly get us started. I'll start with the cost first. Immediately when I saw this question, I thought about popularity. It is not always popular to lead with integrity because we all have different values. And so when we choose our values and to make decisions based on our values, that's not always popular, especially in a school setting when you're forced to make some really tough decisions. And so that you go from being everyone's favorite to the bad guy, right? So popularity comes up for me. And then I think about speed. Integrity causes us to slow down and really think about the choices we're making because we're leaning on our values. And so that requires some deep reflection sometimes. And so you can't move as quickly as you might desire because you are really trying to center what you believe. And so that people want you to move fast and make quick decisions sometimes. And so again, that goes back to that popularity. You might be characterized as a slow mover or a deep thinker in a bad way. And so the speed comes to mind for me. When I think about gains, I think about trust first. I think folks trust leaders who lead with integrity. So although they may not believe or agree with the decisions you're making, they respect the fact that you are leading with your values. And so when folks can respect you, they trust you, and they are able to follow you, even if they are not in agreement with every decision you make as a leader. And then the last one I think about as a gain is that personal, I call it personal coherence, like that inner peace
that you have done the right thing, and that your decisions really do align to who you are, so you can sleep at night, right? You can be comfortable with whatever decisions you made because you led with integrity.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Fantastic. Deetra?
Love this question. Um, Listen carefully as I answer it because it's not, it's kind of flipped. The greatest cost came when I believed I had to lead in ways that weren't aligned with my core values or how I was uniquely wired to lead. Because that mindset, it cost me physically, mentally, and spiritually to seek validation from others whose values were not aligned with my core values. And so in my chapter, you're going to read about my journey from that mindset to the gift, because leading with integrity is a gift. You're going to read about the gifts that I received with peace, joy. Yes, I could sleep at night. Was it easy? No. You're going to cry. Well, I can only speak for myself. There were tears. There were tears. There were questions. Um, but I could rest and I had peace. And yeah, people could respect that I was anchored in these values. Um, Today, I am someone who faithfully stewards the gifts that Yahweh has given me to serve and to help people and places that I serve in to flourish. So, yeah, there's a cost, but I believe that the cost is chiseling out the character that is necessary to do the work that I've been called to do. It's worth it.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Dr. Tamiko.
So piggybacking off these amazing ladies, um, leading with integrity helped me gain peace of mind. Leading with integrity cost me relationships, and that's okay. And there were times when remaining true to my values meant stepping away from people or environments that no longer aligned with my values and my principles. And while that was difficult, again, I gained peace of mind. And so I learned that by protecting my integrity, created spaces for people and opportunities that genuinely align with my purpose and my principles. And the relationships that I lost were replaced with a sense of self and clarity and freedom to do the work that I'm truly meant to do and matters to me.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So we have a couple of individual questions. Dr. Mack, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So, Dr. Tanisha, your chapter on the cost of integrity. It asks, can you afford not to choose integrity? What is the moment where that question was put directly to the test for you?
Yeah. Being a school principal, I'll start with that, is the hardest job I believe I have ever had. And like being in that space for 5 years was tough. And I'm so proud of the work we accomplished while I was there. But it is a tough role. If you have not held that seat, that is harder than it looks on the outside. But when I read this question, I thought about my time as a school principal. And this question really came into play several times throughout my 5 years as a principal, making leadership decisions with students at the center, which was always my driver. And I very quickly learned that that can sometimes make the adults uncomfortable. And because I have that desire to be liked, I'm a person who enjoys people and I want to be liked. I quickly had to like come to that realization that not leading with my integrity and what my values would be more detrimental than leading in the way in which would make the adults comfortable. But there were moments where I considered sticking with the status quo, like don't rock the boat, just go along with what it is that the majority wants to do. Don't press, don't ask the hard questions, don't disrupt. And I got into this space of I have to do what's right, and I have to be able to sleep at night, right? Like I have to be proud of the work and the decisions that I've made in years to come. And if I don't lead with my integrity, I won't be able to do that. And so it was really, really tough. And of course, those relationships changed. But ultimately, I was able to be comfortable with the decisions that I was making because I knew they were the right things to do.
Yes, absolutely. And Brian Davis in the chat just said it. You have to be able to live with yourself first and foremost. You are not going away from you, right? So thank you so much for that, Dr. Tanisha. And it's not, integrity is not just something that we claim. We have to choose it, and we have to choose it intentionally, and almost always when it is difficult, right? So thank you for that. Deetra, your chapter, PACE, is an acronym, and it's a rhythm that you teach others to interrupt survival mode. So walk us through a real moment when you had to use PACE yourself.
Ooh, there are so many, especially as a principal, every day and multiple times in a day, right? I'm thinking of one moment that comes to mind when a parent made culturally insensitive comments about a teacher that truly crossed the line. It would have been easier to not bring it to the surface, not to address the parent, but just stay in the safe place of comforting the teacher. But integrity would not allow me to do that. Because it truly, on the surface, it would have looked like it was keeping the peace, but it doesn't. And leadership isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's, as a peacemaker, you're actually going into the fire daily. So despite popular belief, being a peacemaker it takes courage. And more importantly, this was about protecting people's dignity. So upholding the dignity of the teacher, having the conversation with the parent, and still upholding the dignity of the parent. And so I had to use the framework that I've created, PACE. I paused instead of reacting emotionally, especially when it comes to culturally insensitive things. I align myself with my core values, remembering every person that is part of this conversation deserves dignity, including, like I said, the parent and the teacher. I clarified what the real issue was, what needed to be addressed. couldn't make judgments on whether she meant it or not. Don't know. The issue was that this was something offensive, bringing it to your attention, and we'll go from there. Um, and in doing that, it brought up people's insecurities. Um, but again, staying focused on the resolution. Um, I had to engage in the courage to be able to stand up. I wasn't trying to be a hero at all. This was not easy. Everyone had an opinion. Um, the conversation was uncomfortable at
Mm-hmm.
first,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in this for the long game, and so it took months
Mm-hmm.
to work through this, but I was committed.
Mm-hmm.
And the other piece is that this was when I was maybe 3 or 4 weeks into a new position. So this parent didn't have an idea of my character, and I didn't have an idea of her character. So that made things even more challenging.
Yeah.
Uh,
This
but
this idea.
by the end, we were able to move toward understanding without sacrificing the teacher's humanity or the parent's dignity. And so that experience reminded me that pace isn't something that I just teach only after things settle down, but it's a rhythm I return to in the middle of difficult conversations. So,
Mhm, mhm. And I appreciate that. And your focus on the core values piece, I think, is really key. And as leaders, we do have to make sure that our core values are that we know them, right, and that we actually let folks know what our core values are, so that they don't even have to question, what where we stand. So I appreciate that. Um, Dr. Tamiko is up next. Dr. Matt.
Yeah, yeah, Dr. Tamiko talks about do it anyway. And so in do it anyway, she suggests moving forward without full clarity. Now, Dr. Tamiko, what's a decision that you've made that you couldn't fully explain at the time, but knew you had to make it anyway?
Yeah. So my do it anyway moment came when I decided to leave my well paying job and pursue my nonprofit organization on a full time basis. And from the outside, it may have looked risky to certain people. I heard chitter chatter, oh my gosh, she's really leaving. Yes, I really left because the impact that keeping that job was having on my stress and my health, I realized it wasn't worth the title or paycheck. And also with doing it anyway, in my opinion, it comes moving in silence because you don't want other people's opinions and things like that to get in the way of you continuing to move, even though you might not have all the answers. Just keep moving forward. And so again, everyone doesn't need to understand your vision and why you're doing something for yourself. So sometimes you just need to trust yourself and make that move and let your result speak for itself. And as I was thinking about my answer earlier this week, I saw a quote on LinkedIn, and it said something to the effect of, I need clarity. And then on the other hand, it said clarity comes when you move. So
Hmm.
you just go ahead and you do it anyway.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, that is so true. I think about clarity so much in the leadership space, because when we are unclear, our folks know, the folks we are leading, they know we're unclear, right? And so it makes things unstable. So we have to trust that we know where we're going and do it anyway. Thank you, ladies, so much. And again, Dr. Tryla Cleveland, she was unable to join us. Her chapter is called Anchored in the Storm: From Survival to Thriving Leadership. And we honor her for her contribution, and again celebrate her and congratulate her on her nuptials.
Yeah, so we're moving on to our next group. We know integrity costs something, but it gives you something back too. And what it gives you is more than anything is a kinds of relationships that hold you up when work gets heavy. So that brings us to our next section, which is on value relationships. So let's go ahead and bring our values up. There you guys are. Welcome, welcome. And we can go ahead and kick it off. Trelane?
Sure. Georgette, Coach G, Green Hodnet. Georgette, I'm sorry, excuse me. There's a lot of authors around here. Okay. So many accomplishments. But Georgette is known as Coach G, and she's a seasoned math educator and compassionate leader. She leads the Miserable Teacher Forum and also a YouTube channel supporting mid-career and veteran teachers in finding renewed meaning and connection. Welcome, Georgette.
Thanks.
And do you want me to do that? Yes, I think so. And Dr. Latanya Barnes Sibley is a national independent educational consultant who designs research-based professional learning that helps educators move from teaching to thriving. She also serves as a university professor of early childhood education, and she also served as the first president of Black Women Education Leaders Incorporated, where I had the pleasure of being her vice president. So I'm super excited that she's a part of Thrive. Welcome to both of you ladies.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So education was never meant to be done alone. What does it look like for you to build or to rebuild your village?
Thank you. And I do want to say I have truly been inspired by today's conversation. I'm excited to add to it. I love your question. It's the heart of my chapter. The old African proverb says, "It takes a village to raise a child." And I still believe it true today. But somewhere along the way, I think many of us in education, including me, started believing that we had to carry the village ourselves. When I first entered education, I loved collaboration. I wanted to learn from others and partner with families and build something meaningful for children. But over time, I found myself carrying more and more and more until one day I realized I wasn't just building the village, I was trying to carry it. That realization changed the and that means building more authentic relationships with educators, with families, and with communities. Because when we share the responsibilities, educators can move from striving to thriving. And as all the other authors have stated, when educators thrive, children are better positioned to thrive as well.
I would add, and first of all, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of this collaborative. And when we talk about even relationships, I have to give a shout out to my friend and soror, Chandra Joseph Lissette, that even connected me to this project. So when you talk about relationships, when she knew the desire of my heart to be a part of a project like this, she was looking out for my good and helped me to find this. There have been teachers that I've learned my professional skills. There are teachers that I helped to mentor that have been a part of my journey. There are principals that I had the pleasure of working with. And there are also families and parents that I got the opportunity to learn and grow from. So when we talk about relationships, it's not limited to just the experience of, having a platform. It really is at the bottom of it. It's we need one another. And so when we get to the place, as my husband said once to my son, show yourself friendly, it really starts at that core, that people really are going to connect with you when they feel like there's a space to be connected with. And then if you have a challenge with that, if it's uncomfortable for you to make friends, maybe challenge yourself, find a way to engage in a committee or volunteer to work with a club or just ask someone to be your mentor. So I feel that relationships are vital. They're vital in every aspect of our lives. And one really important piece that we all should just remember, none of us got here alone. It took the union of two people together to make each and every one of us to come. So if we forget all the other things, we just have to remember we wouldn't even be alive if it were not for a connection of people.
I love that. I love that. Now, Coach G, you know, you got people always sending the fire emojis on you. You lead the Miserable Teacher channel, giving voice to educator burnout. What was the call or the actual moment that moved you from surviving to thriving?
First, I want to thank God for this career that I've had. I've been an educator for over 30 years, and I've loved every minute of it. Well, mostly. And in that time, what I found was I needed to be open to the fact that the way that I was moving was not working. Dr. Deshawn talked earlier about us normalizing some things, some systems and some patterns and things that over time just become normal. But this was a point late in my career. This wasn't me being a neophyte teacher. This wasn't me being a novice. This wasn't me in the middle. I had been in education for over 20 years when I had my moment where I literally was like, oh, Lord, have mercy. I just don't know what to do. And in that experience, I first saw God. That is the center. That's how I center myself. That is the place that I start my day. And I found during this challenge that I speak specifically about in the book, that I was not necessarily remembering to keep God at the center of my moves, keeping God at the center of not just the joys, right? I said I had this career, I loved it, right? But when it got challenging, then I'm like, hoo. So I realized in that moment when literally I'm in the car, just about saying like, I need thee, oh, I need thee, right? Everybody's had one of those moments. And then after a short prayer, I reconnected with someone who helped to change my outlook. I'm not going to tell it all because you got to get the book. But I will say that that was a pivotal moment. It wasn't the only moment because like dripping water, there were people who said things. There were things I saw, things I knew. But it was that moment that caused a shift. And I've never been the same.
And it only takes a moment, right? Because it took a moment to get you to the place where you thought that it was all going to break down, right? So it takes a similar moment to help you to move through it, as Dr. Iman shared with us earlier today. So, so excited. The Call to Thrive is the title of Coach G's chapter. Dr. Latanya, what does the village look like in your work today? And then what's one way you've had to actively rebuild it after maybe it broke down or there were some cracks in the foundation, so to speak?
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
Oh, we just lost her for a second.
Yeah, the connection stuff, but I'm sure she'll be back in a moment. Can
I say something about cracks in foundations?
Go right ahead.
When people are veteran teachers, they have been holding up the bloodstained banner for the house, for the school, for the families for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And many times we put our time, our attention, our resources into the new teacher, and we take that veteran teacher for granted.
Mm.
And so when we talk about foundations that are broken, if you keep adding new people on top of the foundation that has already been cracked and been sealed with all kinds of methods, but really not even considering if those methods are working or appropriate for the educator or for the situation, it can continue to be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the other thing I was just thinking about in terms of relationships, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Coach G, is that we don't get anywhere without anyone else. Like that's sort of the baseline, right? And so if we don't understand the importance of relationships amongst ourselves as adults, then it's really difficult to try to have children to understand how important their own relationships are. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and just talking to her about, when you've got a friend and you're deciding that that person is going to be someone that you're going to spend time with and have energy and make connections, you want to maintain that, and you've got to work at that, right? And even as children, especially in this technology age, right? Helping them to see how important it is to have those connections with people, like actual real people in your face that you can touch, see, feel, smell. That is so critical. And so if we're not modeling that for our students, for our teachers to model to the students, then it makes it really difficult for us to make sure that foundation remains intact in schools. So
exactly
something to really, really think about. Dr. Jocelyn?
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to get back Dr. Latanya, but if not, we can bring her back on. But we can go ahead and prepare to move to our next group. And if Dr. Latanya comes back on, we can bring her back up, of course. But, we want to thank you, Coach G, for sharing your wisdom and just sticking in. You have some cheerleaders out here cheering you on as well. The fire emoji is going again.
Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely been a pleasure. And we can't wait for you all to read their stories. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is our last segment in ensuring equity.
Awesome. Well, you all are, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are in for yet another treat of three amazing, stellar educators. So we're going to kick it off with Dr. Ajina M. Muhammad. Dr. Ajina is a higher education executive and a student success advocate with more than 25 years of experience spanning K-12 and higher ed. She serves as an assistant vice provost for student success and belonging at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and hosts the Light It Up podcast. I love that name. Welcome, Dr. Ajina.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
And do you want me to just go?
Oh, yeah, you got it.
All right, cool. Tasha Scott Henderson is a Chicago-based author, speaker, and high school administrator, and a pioneer in early college and STEM initiatives. She's worked in urban education for 22 years and is a PhD candidate at Concordia University, Chicago. Welcome, Tasha. And we have Dr. Royan Patrick Hendricks, who is affectionately known as Dr. Rowe. She's an education leadership strategist, speaker, and consultant with 30 years of experience in education and leadership development. She is founder and CEO of Dream Education Consulting. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all having me. It's truly an honor.
Definitely, and it's an honor for us. You all wrote about equity, and I will venture to say that this one is tough. It's a tricky one to write about. And equity, everyone doesn't necessarily have the same definition of equity. And I like to try to set the record straight about what equity is. Equity isn't giving everyone the same thing, that's equality. It's ensuring that everyone has what they need to be successful. So, what does that distinction look like in the work that you do? We'll start off with Dr. Agena.
Well, as I reflect on that, I've spent my career working across youth services, K 12, and higher education. And I think that one lesson that has remained consistent is that people don't all need the same thing to succeed. So for me, equity begins with a different question. Instead of asking, are we treating everyone the same? I ask, what's standing in the way of this person's success? And what can we do to remove that barrier? So in my line of work for students, equity would mean creating access to resources or fostering a sense of belonging or helping them navigate systems that weren't always designed with them in mind. And then for the people I lead, I think that equity means recognizing that leadership isn't one size fits all. So different people need different kinds of support, coaching, opportunities, and feedback to grow. So my responsibility as a leader is really to understand those differences and then create an environment where each person has what they need to succeed. So equity isn't about lowering expectations. It's really about removing those unnecessary barriers that every individual has truly a genuine opportunity to meet those expectations. And I believe that when we do that with intentionality, then we can create environments where people don't just perform, but they certainly have an opportunity to thrive.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. You all can just keep going. Tasha, you're up next.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I would just like to say I am so excited for this project. Thank you so much, Dr. Mack. This is my second co-author project with Dr. Mack, and then the awesome, both of you guys are so awesome. And then I'm also a member of the Black Women Education Leaders with President Trelane. So when I saw this opportunity, I was just like, I am there. So thank you both for this opportunity. To respond to that question, one of the key things that is a bedrock for me when it comes to equity is particularly, I go by the proverb that pretty much if you give someone a fish, you'll give them a fish, you know, that they can eat for that day. But if you teach them how to fish, you have given them keys to be able to eat for a lifetime. So when I look at equity, particularly when it comes to across the board, as Dr. Muhammad said as well, it's not about a one size fit all. It's what individualized help, what supports, what can I offer this student, whether it's adult or whether it's, not adult, but what can I offer them as to help reach their learning capabilities, and using empathy as the bedrock and foundation of that, to see myself in that student and to see those things. I really go in depth in my chapter when it comes to that. And I'm not going to get too much more into it, but the overall perspective of my chapter focuses on going from surviving as to within the equity lens, and what can you offer your students that would prepare them for the future, that they're able to not just eat one fish, but that they're actually able to open up a fishery and be able to teach hundreds of others. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that. When I think about equity, I really think about what is the truth. And very often in education, there are data sets, there's data that we may collect and reflect on and report on. And then there's some data that we don't even consider, right? Like the experiences of women in leadership. And throughout this entire evening, I've just been on pins and needles and probably a little bit stressed out because I have been revisiting some of the experiences that I have had over the course of 3 decades in education. And one of the things that reminds me is that I have to be equitable to myself. I have to pour into myself. And when I started to do that, I started attracting all of these other women that were experiencing the same thing, not just in person events, on panels, but even in virtual spaces. And I say, God, I know that I'm not the only one that is experiencing this. So, what is it that I can do? Right. And so I was waiting on all these perfect things to happen in my life, a big bank account, all these different resources, these external resources that I thought that I needed. But the greatest resource is what I had inside. So it wasn't until I began to step fully into who I am and who God called me to be. That's when I created the Experience for Women in Leadership, an amazing platform of women from all over the country that come together in Dallas to share their experience. But the most important thing about it is collective impact. And so people have written books together, and I've inspired and opened up a platform for others to inspire and empower. And so through Dream Education, and Dream is actually the acronym Dr. Rowe Empowering All Minds. So when you go through all these different things and you think, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Well, it's happening for you as well. So you have to really step inside and lean into this is for me and not to me, and be your best self and be that best leader to yourself first before you begin to lead an organization, a school district, or a community. So that's what equity means to me, pouring into myself first, using the gifts and the strengths and talents that God has blessed me with, and leverage it for a platform for others to grow and to thrive.
Whew. Pouring into yourself. Well, I'm gonna move us on, Dr. Gina. Dr. Gina, we're gonna move on to you. You know, your chapter talks about surviving systems and becoming self.
Yes.
As well, right? And so, which is like spot on, and that title itself moves from surviving systems to becoming self. What had to change internally before that shift was possible for you?
So before I give a response to that, I just want to say how everything is done by design, and what you all would not have known is that Dr. Rowe and I, we went to the same high school. So you got the Chi-Town crew right now. Tasha, I've known her my entire life, next door neighbors. We're in the same organization. We both worked for, well, I previously worked for Chicago Public Schools. So I just want to say, for us to be in this particular section together is by design, because we didn't know until we were on the meeting that we were all participating in this anthology. So I just want to say everything is done by design and by God's divine orders. I will say that. And Dr. Rowe has poured into me because she knows what I've, experienced. And so when I think about what I had to change internally, it was really my definition of my own value as a leader. So for a really, really long time, I believed that my credibility came from proving myself. I was always the youngest one in the room, the only Black woman in the room half the time with a PhD who had the same level of education as other people who didn't look like me. But I still had, in some instances, this feeling that I had to prove myself. So working harder, taking on more, anticipating every single challenge that was going to come my way, and then trying to demonstrate that I belonged in every room that I entered. And so I think that mindset, it certainly helped me succeed professionally. I was able to move up, quickly, but it also kept me in this constant state of performance. And I think one of the hardest realizations was recognizing that the external success doesn't always mean internal alignment. And so there was a season when I was just accomplishing goals left and right, and advancing and checking every single box, yet I wasn't always leading from a place that reflected who I wanted to be. And so, over time I realized that leadership isn't about constantly proving your worth. It's more so about being grounded enough in your values that you can lead with clarity, that you can lead with integrity and purpose. And then even when that environment around you is uncertain, and with all of us working in the field of education, we know that we are in some uncertain times. And so that realization essentially changed how I show up every day. So I still pursue excellence, but I am no longer driven by the need to prove that I deserve to be at the table. So instead, I'm looking for ways and opportunities in which I can help to create the tables where other people feel seen and supported, and empowered to lead. So for me, I think becoming self wasn't just about becoming a better leader. It was about becoming the kind of leader who creates the conditions for other people to be able to thrive. So
That's it. That's that thing right there. That's it. I'm loving it. This is about navigating the systems, but reclaiming ourselves, or even just defining ourselves, right? And not doing that thing where we mold ourselves to fit, right? Or to fit into a system, right? Because who says that system is exactly right for us?
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's real. Tasha, you spent 2 decades expanding STEM initiatives in underserved communities. I loved reading about that in your chapter. So, what does equitable access look like, just beyond the buzzword? Because we know equity is like equity, right? So, what does that actually look like when you are actually in it?
That is such an awesome question. And coming from a place, and you'll definitely have to read my chapter, the event as an educator that happened, that kind of woke me up out of the technical education that I received in my master's program and even my engineering background. But the event that happened with my students showed me particularly that teaching in the urban education system, I really wasn't, although I born and raised in the city, but the educational program that I studied and that I fought so hard to 4.0 and all these different things did not prepare me to teach our Black and brown children and the needs that our children have are particularly unique. However, they were empowering to me as an educator standing in front of them. And I say that to say equity looks within our urban education system as empowering them to know who they are and to know who you are that's standing in front of them. I always stress to my teacher leaders as distributed leadership moves, you are not just teaching to a student, you are teaching to the family that's behind them, you are teaching to the community that's behind them, you are teaching to a person. It is not a number that is sitting in that seat. It is your child. You have to see yourself in them. You have to see even your own children. How would you want your child to be taught? You have to come and you have to come with, and definitely, I understand. My first year, it was more survival. It was, okay, I'm trying to implement what they taught me, what I knew, what I learned, the pedagogy, the objectives, the standards, the frameworks, and these different things. However, who is particularly sitting in front of you looking at you? Who are you teaching to? You're not teaching to the standards. You're not teaching to the objectives. You are teaching to Malik. You are teaching to Tyshawn. We have to make sure as educators, and I know our cup is many times is very empty because we have different pools and we get this and we got to follow this and that. But we also must know that our babies need us. They need us on all levels. And the things that they're facing now, many of us did not have to deal with the internet. We did not have to deal with the cell phones. We did not have to deal with social media. So there are a lot of things there. However, giving them what they need is paramount. Social emotional learning is paramount before we are teaching the academics. So my motto, as I leave my question here, is Maslow before Bloom's. Those two frameworks, Maslow hierarchy, we have to teach to the needs to our children and not just to the framework of the academics. Mm-hmm. So Maslow over Bloom or Maslow over Marzano. Thank you.
I mean, whoever it is, right? whose ever name in theory, right, is about what the babies need in front of me right now. And that is so critical because every student, every year, every class, you might be able to teach the same thing every year, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to teach it the same way because you have somebody who's going to receive it totally differently, right? And so that's why we have to make sure that we are paying attention to who the babies are in front of us. And I say babies, I mean whether you're teaching pre-K or whether you're teaching, university level, right? Because they're looking for knowledge, but they need to be able to attach. They need to be able to relate to what is being given to them. And so we have to be able to know who they are and what they need and how they can receive that. So thank you so much, Tasha, for that. All right. Dr. Rowe, Dr. Mack.
Yeah, Dr. Rowe, your chapter talks about change the read. The broken read is such a vivid image in your chapter. What was the moment you realized you needed to change your read instead of just pushing through the sound?
Yes. So I want to backtrack a little bit to something that Dr. Agena spoke about, and that's performing, right? Because that goes along with this reed that I'm talking about, because I'm a musician and I play a clarinet, and you need a reed to play a clarinet. It's a little piece of wood that helps you vibrate the sound. And so when you think about a reed, it just has to be perfect on the mouthpiece, okay? And so it can't be broken. You're not going to have a good quality of sound. The audience may hear the band play well, but you know that you're not operating at capacity because you're about to pass out, because you're trying to get this air through this mouthpiece, but the reed is broken. And so that's what I was thinking about, just starting the chapter of this broken reed. It's just so important for us to understand that they're not just one moment in your life that helps you change. There's a series of moments and experiences that make you just stop over time. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I running to? Where am I running from? Now, why am I drinking about it? You don't have to drink about it. And so there was a struggle with me understanding how to process my own emotions. Okay. And I knew that I just was not the only one. And so the ultimate moment is when I woke up from a dream. And I'm trying to get through the golden gates of heaven, y'all. I'm trying to get there. And God had his notepad out. He said, Dr. Rowe, what did you do with all that I've given you? You got this. You got wit. You got charm. You funny. You did, like all of the internal things that I've blessed you with. And what did you do? You were waiting for that perfect moment. That's when I made the decision to step in and step fully into who I was called to be. So when you make this change, and when you change your read, when you change jobs, you change husbands, all the different changes, right? The main change is yourself. It's not the external factors. It's not the teachers that you may fire, the teachers that you may hire, right? It's the culture. It's exactly what is driving that entity, that organization, that soul, that you. And that's what we have to realize as leaders, is that we have to change our core. If the core is not fitting where we are. So if we're operating out of alignment, we all on the shoulder driving down 57. I can say 57 because I'm from Chicago too. You got to get back in that lane and stay in that lane. Stay in your gifts, stay in your talents, stay in what God has blessed you with. And you can do that on the job. They say a separation from church and state. I don't believe that. No, not at all. Because your actions are going to show exactly what you value.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you may not be a musician. You may not play a woodwind. You may not play a brass wind, but I encourage you all to just change the read. And we have to be very cognizant of our audience. It's not just teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to all y'all. Board members, policy makers, those in governance. We have to change the read and do what we've been called to do.
It's such a powerful image, the read, and sometimes thriving doesn't just come from us pushing harder, like trying to get that breath through. It doesn't just come from pushing harder, but it's looking at what is actually causing us to not be able to breathe, to not be able to lead, to live fully, to live out our core values, right? Those are the things that we have to pay attention to, and only we can do that. We can't expect that to come from anyone else. Thank you so much, ladies. We are coming to the close of this launch celebration, and I just want to say thank you again. I told the authors at the beginning of this that they might as well just get sick of me saying thank you, and how much gratitude I have for each one of them, because they didn't have to choose this. They didn't have to choose to take the time to write, to think deeply about what is it that I want to share, and even to ask themselves the question, am I thriving? Right? And because that right there is like, well, wait a minute, what does that even look like? And so I really appreciate everyone actually going on this journey with us, with me, with one another, to actually bring this book, this project into fruition. And again, this is not just about having a book. It's not just having contributed something. It really is about the charge of the thriving It's not this secret hope. We're not just saying, okay, well, this is kind of like this frilly aspirational thing. It really shouldn't be something that is in the background. Thriving should be a loud expectation, right? We should be able to say, I am thriving, and everyone should be thriving right along with me. So I really, really appreciate every single person. There are many stories across all the different sections that we discussed. And it is about telling the truth. It's about believing in transformation, and that is possible. And we really want this book to reach educators and leaders, but anyone who says, you know what, I'm not in the place where I would like to be. I cannot yet say that I am thriving, but also look at what are the areas where you are thriving, right? And think about how that's happening. You get to decide what that looks like. I hope is that this sparks reflection in schools and school leaders and districts, folks who are having conversations, making decisions about what is best for students. We also need to make sure that we're looking at what is best for our teachers and for our leaders so that our students can be at their best and that they have what they need. And I want you, the reader, to see yourself, hear yourself, relate to the stories, to the educators, to the questions that this book will ask you to really think about. Because educators deserve more than survival. They deserve to thrive, because thriving is our birthright. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and celebrating this dream with us. Dr. Mack.
Yes, yes. Well, we've. I was about to ask her for. There you go. I was about to ask you to share what does this moment mean to you. We brought all these voices together, but I think you kind of shared what that is already. But what does this moment mean to you personally?
Well, I mean, what I think one of the biggest things that it means for me is that I am not alone. That the experiences that I have had, the experiences that other educators have had, are valuable, are rich, are instructive, are demonstrative of so many things that we shouldn't be hiding these stories. They're literally food. They are nourishment to educators who are looking for something to hold on to, because we don't get into this education thing just because. There's always a reason. There's something that happened to you that didn't happen for you as a student, someone who saw something in you. And to be able to share that with someone else, and to be able to say, you know what, this is a way, this is an opportunity for you to make the decision to hang in there. And sometimes it's to make a decision to say, you know what, I need to pivot. I need to do something else. But that doesn't mean that I'm not thriving, right? Thriving is different for every single person. It's going to look different, sound different for everyone. But we have the opportunity to do it within the spaces that we are. And so this to me means that we have an opportunity to share with the world how much possibility there is in there for us to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style, in the ways that Dr. Maya shared with us that she wanted to do as her mission in life. So this is a realization of the opportunity to thrive. So I'm so grateful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, today is lunch day. So, this has been an incredible hour with incredible conversations. And now I want to make sure that every single person watching knows how to get the book in their hands. Thrive Breaking Free from Survival Mode in Education is available right now. And we'll share in just a moment. But if you're here supporting an author, we want you to connect with them first. Although we're going to go ahead and share the QR code that you can use to go ahead and get your copy now. But if you're supporting your author, make sure you connect with them on how to get access, because we want to make sure that all of our authors are supported in this work. And so they'll have direct access to you supporting them directly by reaching out to them. But for those who are here supporting, we have the book available now for you. It is available through the QR code. And if you are watching us on YouTube or any of the other channels, the link should also be shared in that post for you just to click on that link. But as well, we want to make sure that you also connect with your authors when to get the book, access the book when you have that chance to. So we definitely want to share with you that moment, share with you the journey, share with you with all the things that we continue to promote and thrive. And it's just been such an incredible conversation. And I'm so blessed to have each and every one of you. But before I go, I just have to say, this, to our contributing authors, Deshawn, Mara, Jackson, Samuel, Iman, Elizabeth, Dolores, Nicole, Tanisha, Deetra, Tamiko, Georgette, Latanya, Gina, Tasha, and Dr. Rowe. Thank you. Thank you for trusting Mac Media and Publishing and working with us through this time, the journeys, the deadlines, all the things, and making this project happen. Thank you for showing up and giving the world the truth about what survival mode really looks like and what it takes to break free from it. And I know that we've spoke to so many hearts today. And Trelane, I want to speak to you directly for a moment. Watching you bring this vision to life, watching you hold space for all the educators that are part of this work and pour into every single one of them the way you have poured into me has been one of the greatest joys of my work. And you did not just write a book, you built a family, girl. You have a family with you. We are all ready to go out here and thrive. And I am so deeply proud of you, to call you friend, to call you and be the one standing here helping you carry this into the world. And I just want to say thank you so much for trusting me with the project. And all the times, I know you had the fork there. Inside joke for those who may not know. But one thing at Mac Media, we'll push a project through and make sure you all deadlines are met and that you are having the best success through it all. And so if you have not already, please go follow Trelane Clark and Thrive Consulting Group. And also take a look at Black Women Education Leaders Incorporated, the organization she currently leads. The work she's doing extends so far beyond this book, and you want to be connected to it. So again, Trelane, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All of the gentle nudges and maybe not so gentle nudges and just pulling this book out of me, pulling out of me what I was thinking that I wanted to do. And you did such a fantastic job of doing that. And I couldn't have asked for a better cast of characters here with so much talent, so much expertise. I just am incredibly grateful. And the book is beautiful, you all. The book is gorgeous. Anybody who knows me knows that purple is my favorite color. And Dr. Mac just really made that come alive with this book. So get your copy, support the authors that you came here to support, and get this message out. Buy this book as a gift for some educator that you know, or someone who you think is struggling and can relate to some of these stories and experiences. But let's get this out there and let's go thrive.
Yeah, let's thrive. And so, here at Mac Media, we want your stories to let you know your stories as educators. We like to impact them for those who need them, educators who are sitting in hard moments right now and wondering if anyone else has been there. That is the whole point. And so we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for being here and joining in and participating in the conversation. Be sure to follow Mac Media and Publishing so you never miss what we are building next. We have more launches coming, more voices to amplify, and more stories the world needs to hear. This has been the Thrive Virtual Launch. I am Dr. Jocelyn Elaine McDonald, but you can call me Dr. Mac, Chief Visionary Officer of Mac Media and Publishing. And we are thrilled to announce to the world that Thrive is available, and we look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.